If we were to watch the 20th century from a plane, we would see the only thing that remarkably influenced the century: electroacoustic music. I think that electroacoustic music was the most important invention that influenced all composers, even those who were not involved with it. I myself think differently since electroacoustic music has appeared in the world.
Olivier Messiaen, one of the most important and most influential personalities in the 20th century music, has introduced the electroacoustic music to many successful, world-known composers. Though he himself was not involved with electroacoustic music, as he remarked when visiting Slovakia in 1987, his influence has helped to form it. However, works of his students, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, Pierre Henry, and many others, are today's main pillars of electroacoustic music. Experiment, attempts, and a never-ending search for the new has led man to scientific knowledge, technical inventions, and, at last, to more experiments once again. To bring man to spiritual knowledge, to give him the answers to questions to which even science cannot give the answers, is the ability of art. 40 years ago, the experiment gave rise to the experimental studio of Slovak Radio. For exactly 40 years, dozens of Slovak and foreign composers have been trying to find their own way of artistic expression in the field of electroacoustic music on the very grounds of the studio. For the same period of time, the same place is the meeting of composers, sound masters, and directors of dramatic radio production. If we were to characterize the experimental studio, we would describe it as a creative space in which an important role is played by the constantly changing means and ways of searching. Peter Coleman talks about experimental studio.
The experimental studio of Czechoslovak Radio in Bratislava, in which we are at this very moment, was established in 1965. And so it was a bit behind the world development, due to which we were able to avoid making the obvious mistakes that some of the other studios made, and that enabled us to build the studio with a progressive intention from its very beginning.
Petr Jánik talks about the first autonomous electroacoustic composition.
In 1966, the first electroacoustic composition originated in the experimental studio. It was Orthogenesis by Josef Malovec. 1 year later, its stereophonic version originated as the very first stereophonic composition in Slovakia as such. It was very demanding and exhausting work. We were putting together the small pebbles to create a huge mosaic. We were working mostly at night. When we felt really tired, we used an invigorating injection of Shabby Chesser, Millismall, Ray Charles, or, and this was the most frequent one, Glenn Miller. Orthogenesis was performed in concerts or on radio on almost all the continents. It was the first awarded composition from our studio in the finals of electroacoustic music at Dartmouth College in the USA, where it was also disc published.
Josef Malovec talks about the first success.
The success has encouraged not only myself, but also the rest of my colleagues, those of my generation and later also younger ones up to the present day.
Petr Janik talks about broadband sound processing.
In '68, we got a 4-track Studer tape recorder and a new Tesla mixing desk, which could process multi-track recording. A quadraphonic version of Orthogenesis originated. It was successfully premiered in Florence in the spring of 1968. Just one curiosity. In the 70s, in Prague, where the Sony company exhibited the quadraphonic sound system, Orthogenesis was used for demonstration. After hearing it, the singer Karel Gott said, "Gentlemen, this kind of electronic music can only be produced by the Japanese."